The melody drifted through the subway tunnel like a ghost from another time. Most commuters walked by without looking, tossing quarters into his guitar case. But when the young Marine recruit bent down to drop a dollar, he froze. Hanging around the old musician's neck, half hidden beneath a worn flannel shirt, were dog tags. Real ones, the kind you don't fake. And when he read the name etched in the metal, his blood went cold. Welcome to the Veteran Chronicles. Before we continue this powerful story of music, memory, and hidden identity, tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this video today? And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who served in silence. In one of New York's busiest subway stations, he sat in the same corner from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. His name was Samuel, but nobody called him by name. The subway staff just called him the musician. Passengers never spoke to him. He never spoke to anyone either. Samuel repeated the same ritual every morning. He would carefully lower his old brown guitar bag from his shoulder, open it, and pull out a Martin D-28 from the 1970s. The guitar was old, but the sound quality was perfect. The strings never went out of tune because he spent hours adjusting them at home every night. His clothing was always the same: faded blue jeans, worn brown leather boots, and a coat or jacket that changed with the seasons. But there was one thing that never changed: the chain around his neck. Most people thought it was just a simple necklace. The metal pieces would disappear inside his shirt. Samuel's music repertoire also held a mystery. The songs he played weren't on any playlist. He'd start with Country Roads, continue with House of the Rising Sun, then move into melodies nobody recognized. These melodies were strange, as if remembered from somewhere, but not quite fully recalled. For the first 3 years, nobody had really paid attention to him. He made an average of $15 to $20 a day. Was it enough? Number? But Samuel's goal wasn't to make money. He just needed to be there, to be making music, to be among people, but apart from them. Rodriguez, a security guard working at the subway station, had been seeing Samuel every day for 3 years. Strange guy, he would think. Never talks to anyone, but harmless. What caught Rodriguez's attention was Samuel's posture. He wasn't relaxed or careless like other street musicians. His back was always straight. He constantly checked his surroundings, as if something was about to happen at any moment. Corporal Jake Martinez had come to New York on 15-day leave from Camp Pendleton. He wanted to spend time with family, explore the city, and get away from the weight of military life for a while. He'd been in the Marines for only 18 months, but had already been deployed to Afghanistan twice. Jake's military training made him different. He had learned to scan his environment, notice abnormal behavior, and most importantly, recognize other soldiers. It was a kind of sixth sense. He could spot a veteran soldier even in a civilian crowd. That Tuesday morning, Jake was going to visit his cousin in Greenwich Village. He was walking down the stairs to catch a train at the 14th Street Union Square subway station when the melody caught his ear. The sound from the guitar was different, professional but intimate, technical but emotional. Jake stopped and looked at the musician. About 60 years old, gray-haired, but his physical posture resembled that of a young man. His hands had calluses, not just from playing guitar, but from other work too. Jake wasn't an expert on music, but he recognized the song this man was playing. "We Gotta Get Out of This Place," the unofficial anthem of American troops during the Vietnam War. Jake's grandfather used to sing this song. "Every soldier knows this song," he would say, "but only those who were there during that time understand why it's so important." Jake approached the guitar case. He wanted to drop a dollar, but as he got closer, he saw something else. Samuel's shirt collar was open, and the chain around his neck was visible. And at the end of the chain, military dog tags. Jake's heart raced. These dog tags weren't fake. The metal was worn, the writing was faded, but still readable. On the top tag, Thompson, Samuel J. On the bottom tag, USAF, CAPTAIN 0-3. Jake held his breath. Air Force captain. And on the back of the tag was something much more important: blood type, date of birth, and most importantly, pilot, rescue OPS. Jake froze in place. Samuel continued playing music, but he had felt Jake's stare. He slowly raised his head and looked at him. The two men made eye contact for a moment. In Samuel's eyes was an expression of understanding what Jake had seen, but not fear, exhaustion, as if to say, "Oh, finally someone noticed." Jake stood up but didn't approach. According to military protocol, he should show respect to his superior, but the situation was complicated. From his clothing, the man was clearly no longer an active soldier, but his rank was higher than Jake's. "Sir?" Jake whispered. Samuel stopped playing guitar. The passenger traffic around them continued, but it was as if an invisible circle had formed between the two of them. "It's been a long time, young soldier," said Samuel, his voice raspy but clear. "Which unit?" "3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, sir. Just returned from Afghanistan." Samuel nodded. "How did it go?" "Tough, sir, but our men made it home." A smile appeared on Samuel's face for the first time. "Good job." Jake hesitated, then asked, "Sir, which unit did you serve in?" Samuel slowly put his guitar in the case. 40th Aerospace Rescue and Recovery Squadron, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, 1970 to 1973. Jake's eyes widened. Aerospace Rescue. This meant Samuel was one of the pilots who rescued downed pilots, one of the most dangerous missions. They were the guys who went behind enemy lines, at night without any support, to rescue pilots from crashed aircraft. "Sir, how many rescue operations did you perform?" Samuel paused. He closed his eyes as if counting. "Officially or really?" "Really, sir." 73, 68 successful. 5 times we were too late." Jake exhaled. 73 rescue operations. This meant Samuel had saved the lives of at least 68 American soldiers. This number was more than the enemy count most soldiers encountered in their entire careers. "How did you end up here, sir?" Jake asked. Samuel closed his guitar case and stood up. Jake noticed how tall he was, about 6 feet 2 inches. And his movement style, despite being 60 years old, still reflected military discipline. "It's a long story, young soldier. Do you really want to hear it?" "Yes, sir." Samuel looked around. The subway station was crowded as usual. "This isn't the right place to talk. There's a coffee shop upstairs. Meet me there in 15 minutes. Jake nodded. Samuel slung his guitar over his shoulder and went up the stairs. Jake followed him from behind. The man had a slight limp in his walk, in his left leg. 15 minutes later, they were sitting across from each other in the small coffee shop in Union Square. Samuel had black coffee in his hand. Jake had tea. "Summer of 1971, Samuel began. On the Laos border in the Sathai region, an F-4 Phantom went down. The pilot and radar operator were 50 kilometers behind enemy lines. Normal procedure: wait 24 hours, then declare MIA. Jake listened. But the radar operator, Johnny Williams from Texas, 23 years old, his radio signal kept coming through, every 30 minutes, very weak. Wounded but alive. Found the pilot. He's alive too, but seriously injured. Samuel took a sip of his coffee. Command had canceled the operation. Too risky, too little chance. But I kept listening. I could hear Johnny's voice. That kid was out there waiting to die? What did you do, sir? I took off without permission. Stole an HH-53 rescue helicopter, you could say. Found 2 volunteer pararescue specialists. We went at midnight. Jake listened without blinking. It took 40 minutes to find them. Johnny was giving first aid to the pilot. His own leg was broken, but he was trying to save his friend. We took them both. On the way back, we came under enemy fire. My helicopter got hit, but I brought them home. What happened to them? Johnny recovered, went home, became a teacher. The pilot, Jim Morrison, he also recovered but never flew again. But he lived. He returned to his wife, returned to his children. Samuel paused. If you're wondering what happened to me, I went to court-martial for violating orders for unauthorized use of military property. But Johnny's father turned out to be a retired general. He handled things. Officially, it looked like a successful operation. I was nominated for the Medal of Honor. Jake was surprised. Medal of Honor? Did you receive it? Samuel made a bitter smile. Number? Because the operation officially didn't exist. There were no military units in Laos, remember? For political reasons, so you can't get a Medal of Honor for an operation that didn't happen. What about Distinguished Flying Cross? Silver Star? None of them. According to official records, I wasn't on duty that night. The helicopter was in maintenance. I was in the hospital with food poisoning. Jake couldn't believe it. So you didn't receive any medals? The only thing I got was this. Samuel opened his shirt and touched his dog tags. Johnny Williams wrote me a letter. You faced death for me. I will live for you. That's my medal. Jake asked confusedly, Sir, but why here? Why are you making music? Samuel remained silent for a long time. He finished his coffee and put the cup on the table. After returning from Vietnam, I lost everyone. My wife left because I was constantly having nightmares and didn't want to talk. My children went with her, too. My military career was over. I was labeled unreliable personnel. For 10 years, I worked various jobs: construction, security, cargo transportation. But the same thing happened everywhere: PTSD outbursts, anger control issues, inability to communicate with people. Then I discovered music. When I played guitar, it was like I was returning to my old self, the me from before Vietnam, the clean me. Jake tried to understand. But why on the street? Why not in concerts or bars? Samuel smiled. Because here nobody knows me, nobody asks questions, nobody thanks me. I just exist. I have my music, and sometimes, very rarely, someone like you stops and listens. Sir, but you're a hero. No, Samuel cut him off. I just did my job. I rescued Johnny Williams because I knew he was there. Any pilot would have done the same thing. But they didn't, sir. You did. Samuel fell silent. You know, Jake, I've been playing here for 20 years. You're the first person to notice that I'm still alive. Most people see me, but don't see me. To them, I'm just background music. Jake fell into deep thought. Sir, do you ever miss it? Flying? Samuel's eyes drifted to the distance. I fly in my dreams every night, but in the dream, it's always the same operation. The night I rescued Johnny. It's like my mind constantly replays that moment, the last time I really felt good about myself. Jake, said Samuel, I'm going to tell you something. Something I haven't told anyone in 20 years. Jake listened carefully. Johnny Williams? I have a letter I wrote to him. I never sent it, because I didn't know what to say. Hello, I'm the pilot who saved your life. Now I'm making music in a subway station and my life is terrible. Something like that? Jake didn't laugh. This was a very serious matter. But last month I did research about him. I found him on the internet. He lives in Texas, retired teacher, has 3 children, 5 grandchildren, living a happy life. Samuel pulled out a folded paper from his pocket. Here's that letter. I've been carrying it for 20 years. Jake looked at the letter but didn't read it. Why didn't you send it? Because I'm not that pilot anymore. I'm not his hero anymore. I'm just an old man making music on the street. Would he want to remember me like this? Jake thought for a long time. Sir, with your permission, I think you're wrong about this. Samuel was surprised. You don't have to send that letter, but I know how Johnny Williams would want to remember you, because I experienced the same thing." "How so?" "In Afghanistan, our squad leader was Jason Kelly. He was seriously wounded in an IED explosion. I carried him 400 meters to the medevac helicopter. I saved his life." Samuel listened. Jason now lives in Colorado. 2 months ago, he sent me a message. He asked, "Jake, you saved me, but I think about you every day. How are you?" Jake paused. "What I'm going to tell you is this, sir. Those people worry about us. They think we might be in a bad situation. Johnny Williams is probably praying for you." Samuel's eyes filled with tears. "Send that letter to Johnny, but you don't have to tell him about your current situation. Just tell him you're alive and thank him." The next day, Jake went to the subway station at the same time. Samuel was there, but there was something different. The air seemed lighter. "Jake?" he called out. It was the first time he used his name. "Sir, how are you?" "I sent the letter," Samuel said with a smile. "Really? How do you feel?" "Scary, but right." Samuel took out his guitar and started playing. But this time his repertoire was different. Instead of Vietnam songs, he was playing more cheerful, more hopeful melodies. "Jake, I have an offer for you." "Yes, sir?" "I'm going to continue making music here, but I won't hide anymore. If you want, come sometimes and listen to my stories. Maybe other young soldiers will stop and listen too." Jake smiled. "Great idea, sir." "And Jake, you can call me Samuel too. I don't have anything to hide anymore." Over the following weeks, Jake visited Samuel whenever he had the chance, and Samuel was right. Other soldiers started stopping too. First curious glances, then greetings, then conversations. Samuel's story slowly spread. Veterans told each other. Subway staff began showing respect. Even Rodriguez, the security guard, started giving Samuel a special salute. One day when Jake came, he found Samuel talking to someone else, an older man with gray hair. "Jake, let me introduce you to someone," said Samuel. "This is Jim Morrison." Jake's eyes widened. "Pilot Jim Morrison?" Jim smiled. "Yes, that Jim Morrison. Johnny Williams told me Samuel was here. We met again after 50 years. Jake couldn't believe it. "This is incredible." "Samuel saved my life," said Jim. 50 years have passed, but I never forgot him, and now I'm going to come here every week to listen to him." There was happiness in Samuel's eyes. "You see, Jake, sometimes stories tell themselves. They just wait for the right time." The last time Jake visited Samuel before returning to military duty, the subway station looked different. There was a small crowd around Samuel, veterans, music lovers, and people who just came to listen. Samuel was no longer just making music. He was telling stories about Vietnam, rescue operations, lost friends, and people were listening. "Sir," said Jake as he said goodbye, "I'm happy we started this change." Samuel put his hand on Jake's shoulder. "No, Jake, you reminded me who I am. I'm still that pilot. I'm just rescuing different people now, with music." As Jake left, he turned around and looked one last time. Samuel was playing guitar. People around him were listening. And there was nothing hidden anymore. Sometimes the greatest heroes are hiding in plain sight. Sometimes all they need is one person to see them, really see them, and remind them who they still are. So I ask you, have you ever met someone like Samuel? Someone whose quiet presence carried stories that changed everything once you learned to listen? Share their name in the comments. Tell us their story. Because here on the Veteran Chronicles, we believe every veteran's voice deserves to be heard. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it. Help us make sure that heroes like Captain Samuel Thompson are never invisible again. We'll see you in the next story. And until then, if you ever hear music in an unexpected place, stop and listen. You might be hearing more than a song.